Hi, everybody. Thank you, everyone, for coming for today's special unboxing. And I'm really sorry that I had to reschedule it and that it isn't on a Thursday. But I am recording this. And let's see, my colleague Nick Herman, who is the Sims curator of Manuscripts, is there. He is actually in Italy right now. So I'm hoping that he can provide some expert insight into the manuscript. And joining me also in the room is Suzanne Van Haaren? Suzette Van Haaren. I'm sorry. And she is here. Suzette is here as a Sims fellow, just started this week.
Yeah.
So welcome. And your specialty is not Italian manuscripts.
It is not.
But that's okay. I'm glad to have her here. And Julia Pelosi-Thorpe got sick, so hopefully she'll be joining us on Zoom, but maybe not, because it sounded like she was not having a good day. So, and who am I? My name is Dot Porter, and I am a curator in the Schoenberg Institute for Manuscript Studies. And once a week, usually just once a week, I take a book off the shelf and I show it to you, and I call it Coffee with a Codex. But this week, it's something special because we have a brand new manuscript new to us. It is a copy of Petrarch, a book by Petrarch, which I, of course, have already forgotten. But that's okay because I have a little bit of a sales record. So there's the sales record from Christie. So this is everything we know about this book. We haven't seen it because it's still in the box that it got delivered. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the box and we're going to all look at this manuscript that I've never seen before, which is great. It's really fun. So here we go. It looks like we've got like plastic stuff. It's pretty well wrapped. Okay. So, and it's been paid, so that's good. We paid for it. All right. Here we go. So the book is, I think it's 1470 is the date that we're looking at. So sort of, okay, that's not working. I have the big guns here. So I have this. I'm going to be very careful because I don't want to cut my finger off on camera. That would be really bad. Okay, here we go. And of course, I have to be careful not to cut into the book. All right. So far, so good. Oop, no. Here we go. There we are. All right. And there. Okay. Look at that. Okay. Nice hefty box. Ooh. And we've got paper. So it's not going to shift around. And then it's all, oh gosh, all right. Then it's all wrapped in plastic. Okay. I'm going to pull this out. Let's see. I have no idea. I don't even know how big this thing is. This makes it look really big, but I have a feeling it's not quite that big. Okay. Can you pull that away? Thank you, Suzette. I still feel bad about getting your name wrong. I'm very sorry about that. Okay. So, here we go. Oop. Thank you. Oop. Four hands is better. Oh, that's not going to go apart. Okay. And then here. And then tissue. Ooh. All right. And I've got my pillow. Once we get this all unwrapped, I've got my pillow ready to go, too. They did a really nice job wrapping this up, didn't they? Okay. And then we've got our little Christie's thing. So I don't know what we paid for it. I don't know if we want to say what we paid for it, but this is what they were expecting it to go for, 35 to 50,000, which is pounds, which is a lot. So that's pretty good. So it's lot 28, workshop of Francesco di Antonio del Chier. All right. 13 December 2023. So it took a little while for it to come to us. Okay. Oh! It's in a box. It's in a box. So this is not a cover. I saw a photo of this. There's a photo of this attached to that Christie's record, and I thought it was the cover, but look, it's a box here. Do you see that? Oh, and even it's got like hinges on the spine there, and it says.
Oh, that's interesting, Dot. Those are hinges, because it wasn't clear from the photos. It looked like it might be a break, a crack, but it's good that it's hinges. So is it a wooden box? A wooden?
It is not.
Or
oh, actually, this is wood.
Interesting.
The edges are wood. I think this is leather. Maybe it's leather over. No, there's board. Do you see here in the corner? That's cardboard. So it's board on the top and the bottom, because there's more board here. But this is wood. The edges of the box are wood. I've never seen, this is weird. I've never seen anything like this.
So someone considered it, I think in the 19th century, it looks like a 19th century box, like it could be a pretty precious item. And I think, is it written in Spanish or something? I mean, there's something, I think, or it's, the catalog said that the box was probably from Spanish, which means that the manuscript, for some reason, was brought to Spain. So we'll be able to do more research on it and over time and find out a bit more about the box.
About the box.
Interesting.
Yeah, the box itself is pretty neat. Okay, so I'm going to open it up.
We hope there's something inside it.
There is. Look at that. Look at that. It's so pretty. Would you mind just holding the side of the box? Thank you. While I take this out. Okay, so here's the book, and I believe it is a 19th century binding according to the record. But let me see, binding. Yeah, so the mid-19th century, the Rococo style box is mid-19th century. I don't know what that is, but, oh, look at that. This is a pretty binding. It's like painted with the, I don't know.
That would be, imaginary portrait of Laura, who was Petrarch's.
Was she his lover?
Lover or object of affection.
Object of affection. No subject, just the object. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and this is nice. There's like little birds. It's really pretty.
Interesting. I wonder if it's from the same, period as the box or slightly different.
I don't know. I was looking in the record to see 19th century painted vellum. Yeah. So 19th century. So they're both 19th century. So after, as I said, the manuscript, I think, is believed to be 1470s Florence. So the binding is later, quite a bit later. But as Nick said about the box, and it also counts for the binding, like somebody really cared about this book. This is a nice binding. Okay, can you pull that? Suzette is going to pull the box away, and then I am going to bring out my pillow so we can have a look inside. Let's take a look inside. All right. Here we go. I know that there's at least one illumination, and then there are some illuminated. Look at this. Oh my gosh. Talk about Spanish, right? So
yes, that looks like a reused.
From a cartas.
From a carta.
That's what it looks like. It would be interesting to see. I mean, if that is what it is.
Yeah,
so
if it has any names in it, it might. I mean, it looks like it was recycled. It's recycled, right? I mean, it's kind of cut off.
Yeah.
Super interesting.
Yeah. So there's a kind of Spanish document called a cartas ejecutorias, which are sort of documents that are given out, I don't know, by the crown to families to sort of prove their nobility. And this is very much what we have several of them in our collection. There's some at the Free Library of Philadelphia, and this is what they look like. So it's another point. It was Spanish. They're Spanish documents, so it's another thing pointing to the Spanish. So the manuscript at some point was owned in Spain, and so this is just another thing there. And a pretty common way that parchment got reused was to in binding. Actually, I'm going to go to the back and see if there's another one at the end, and there is. Look at that. We haven't even looked at the manuscript yet, and I am already like totally in love with this. This is just so neat. I love it. I'm
also noticing that, I think we'll see, because, obviously we've looked at pictures of the manuscript, but only of a few folios, but, the original text block is quite damaged. Looks like it was damaged by water at some point, and so there's restoration on the corners, but I'm noticing that those carta pages look very pristine on the corners.
They do.
So it seems pretty clear that those were added at some point after that damage occurred.
Yeah.
So that's just an interesting aspect of the life of the manuscript.
Yeah.
It's quite damaged. You can see the stains from the damp from water.
Yeah, and you can also, I hope you can see, actually, here we go. That on this page, so there's writing on this page that's almost completely gone because of this water damage. But you can see there was decoration down the side, and there are lines. You can see lines of text, but it's almost completely obliterated. And here's where Nick was saying that the edges and the corners have been restored. This is not the original parchment here. You can sort of see it, especially here on the edge, that something has been attached there to hold it up.
We have other examples of that in our collection, especially with some of the Arabic manuscripts on paper, that have deteriorated, and so this is interesting. And this introductory text, I believe, is the Life of Petrarch, I think, written by Leonardo Bruni. And that he was this is a known biography of Petrarch, written in the 15th century by this Bruni, who was a great historian. And so that often accompanies these later manuscripts of Petrarch's works. I think it's a poetic, biography.
Yeah,
Or maybe.
I think this is something else, because this is like alphabetical.
That could be the first lines, maybe, of the poems in the Canzoniere.
Yeah, I think
I don't have the description handy, but that would make sense.
Yeah, and then I think this is the biography.
I see the Z on the left. Very interesting. Okay, right. So we have kind of a alphabetical index.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that the damage seems to be becoming lesser.
Less and less. Although it looks like the corners through the manuscript, these top corners in the bottom corners too.
Right.
But
so that looks like the biography there on the right. Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is the biography here, and I don't think it's so. So you said that this often accompanies later manuscripts of Petrarch.
Yeah, it became itself a very famous, example of a biography of an author.
Yeah. So in the chat, Joyce is pointing out that the text is easy to read, and it is once of course that's sort of relative, but once you get past the damage, this is just a humanist script, right, Nick? And it is it is pretty easy to recognize what the letters are. Yeah, Leslie's asking for a closer look at the lettering, so I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see there. So that's what the text looks like. And a little bit of it, some of it is a little bit worn sort of further up the page. Actually, I don't know if that's wearing or if it's just that the pen was running out of ink. It's sort of hard to tell sometimes. But where there's not water damage, it's not bad. Here we go. All right, and then after the biography, that's where we get to the poems, and that's where we get to this one, which is the one photo that you've probably seen because it's on the record. But it's a really nice page, so we can zoom in on whatever that is. Do you know what's going on there, Nick? I love her, whatever she's got going on with her hair. I'm very into that.
This is a myth? Someone turning into the laurel tree?
Yeah, it's
it says Apollo's
Apollo
Apollo and Daphne.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So she's turning into a tree as he chases her. Okay.
And
I think
so
it's
this
laurel,
is,
but I don't know.
Yeah.
This is the Canzoniere, the beginning of this set of poems that Petrarch wrote throughout his lifetime, and it's 360. I think it's 366 poems. So it's like every day.
Wow.
A year plus one day. So that's the reason.
We had time on his hands.
But I mean, this is a very, very, very famous text in Italian literature. These are mostly sonnets, but there are other kinds of poems too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's second only to Dante and its importance for the beginnings of Italian, the Italian language being used for poetry. And so we don't have a manuscript copy of this text at Penn, and so we're very excited to have this. And I think our colleagues in Italian studies and elsewhere as well in the university will be really happy to be able to use this in teaching. And so these are very famous verses. It's kind of like the Chaucer of the Italian language. And then this beautiful illumination. It's a little bit damaged, which we were expecting. So, but that kind of works with our collection a little bit, right, Dot?
It definitely does. We sort of specialize in messy manuscripts. And I like them, and I like to show them too. Like if you've been to Coffee with the Codex before, I'm always talking about sort of signs of use and the afterlives, and so it's great to have a text that I know that people are going to want to read. In fact, we got an email from a professor just a few days ago wanting to know when he could, a professor in the Italian department wanting to know when he could see it. And I had to explain that you have to wait until I get it out of the box, but we'll see. But we still get the little, the bling and the gold. It's really nice. It would have been even more beautiful, before it got dropped in a puddle or whatever happened to it.
This is a sort of style. So this is, again, as the description says, this is made in Florence in the 1470s. So this is 100 years after Petrarch has died. So it's already by that point a kind of classic work of literature. Mm-hmm. And there are a number of other manuscripts from this same workshop, probably of the scribe and the same illuminator, that were known. And this one is an unknown addition to that group. So it's neat that we can really tie it really closely to a specific, place of production. And so these were becoming very popular as, 100-year-old, having a copy of this 100-year-old classic of poetry. And lots of poets, and also poets, and also even Shakespeare and English poets were very influenced by Petrarch's sonnets, which so it's very influential, important, key work. There were lots of translations made of it, but it's hard to translate because the rhyming schemes are, Italian has a lot of words that rhyme compared to other languages. So anyway, so it's very interesting from that point of view too. And then there's another text, the Triumph, the Trionfi, which would begin, I'm not sure.
So there's a historiated initial on 156 and then several after, and I'm wondering if that's where that text. Oh, maybe not. Let's see. So we're still in the poetry here. So here we're still in
156 is where the where the Triumph should begin. Okay. Oh wow.
Yeah. So here we have another. Let me zoom out just a little bit. The ending. Here's the ending of the poems, the set of poems, and then the start of this one with another. And this one is less damaged, so we get the full effect of the illumination here. You can see the gold. I love gold. That's so pretty.
And also the gold lettering.
Yeah, the gold. The heading is also written in gold.
And these are the Trionfi. These are like Petrarch's kind of second most famous work after the Canzoniere, after the part that preceded it. And there are 6 of them, and they're kind of, they're like very highly allegorical poems about these different things triumphing and then being overturned by something else. So it starts with the triumph of love, and then there's the triumph of chastity, and then the triumph of death, and then fame triumphs over death, because like fame, I guess, outlives death, and then time outlives fame, and then eternity is the final one, because that's the one that wins.
The one that wins.
Nothing outlives it. So it's also very, very famous poetic text.
That's fun. I'm going to show more, but first I want to point out that somebody came along later and tried to copy this here, and I think gave up. They only made it about halfway, but that's always kind of fun to see there.
And that could be someone's name above. Is that written or something?
I thought it maybe was Greek. Is that Greek letters?
It looks like Greek, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, hi, Julia. Julia's in the chat. Greek for the end. Oh, the end. There we go. Great. There's a question. Nick, there's a question from Michelle in the chat wanting to know, would the decoration be done by someone other than Bruni?
Oh, yeah. The decoration by potential artist. So this is written out by a scribe, a commercial scribe, not by Bruni himself. So these are sort of produced in a kind of workshop setting, where there would be like a scribe, and it's a kind of book where I think by the time it was made in the 1470s, it was like so popular that it wouldn't have necessarily been made with a patron in mind, a bookseller. There were these booksellers in Florence who would they were kind of like half bookseller, half publisher, and they would kind of subcontract with a scribe to write the text, and subcontract to get the parchment, and subcontract with the illuminator. And there's actually the most famous one was named, who I don't think produced this book, but his name was Vespasiano de Bisticci. And there's a great recent book about him called The Bookseller of Florence that I really recommend. It's all about this exact period in Florence when you had these humanists, so these scholars interested in antiquity and interested in reviving the Italian language, and were producing many, many books, and we're all kind of friends, and it's a very interesting historical period. So the Bookseller of Florence by Ross King is a really great recent book about this whole kind of context where this particular book comes out of that kind of context in Florence. In the 15th century.
Right. I was also wondering about what was happening with printing in Italy right now, because you talked about how this was sort of being essentially mass produced without a patron in mind, which makes me think of printing. And also it's 1470, so it's sort of after the advent of the printing press, at least in other parts of Europe. What do you think, Nick?
Absolutely. So it's interesting because the printing press, even though it started, in the 1450s in Mainz, only comes to Italy. It takes a little bit of time. So they started printing in Italy in 1467, and in a kind of experimental way, and then then it kind of really took off in Venice and in Rome, but not so much in Florence, where this book was made. And since this was made in the 1470s, it might have been made within a few years of when printing started in Italy. And so, sorry, there's a bit of background noise. Anyway, so before the full impact of the printing press was kind of felt, I can't remember when the first printed edition of Petrarch is, but it would be 10 or 20 years after this book was made. So that's an interesting context to think about as well.
Cool. So as you've been talking, I'm sort of going through and finding the starts of the next Trionfi, and they all have fun. Actually, I'm going to go back because let me see if we can find it. This one, if you didn't see when I was pointing it out, this is death, and so we get a little skeleton in the initial there, which is pretty, or maybe it's supposed to be death. It's a skeleton, but it looks like he is holding a sickle there. So it's pretty great. And this will be digitized. I'm not sure when it will, but eventually this will be cataloged and the photos will be up on the web. And
hopefully by the end of the summer, I would hope, right?
Yeah. Hopefully. Yeah. If we usually do them in the summer. Ooh, there's a little guy. And maybe next year you can do a proper coffee with a Codex with it. This is
or Julia or someone
or Julia, if Julia would like to.
Yeah.
I'm actually, Julia has been spending her time with us working on a miniature book of hours from Italy, and so I already I'm going to have her do that. So if she still wants to talk to me when that is over, then we'll have her do this one too. Not to put you on the spot, Julia. Okay.
And I should say, for those of you who are able to come to Philadelphia or in the Philadelphia area, that we'll definitely have this in our new acquisitions showcase, where we have an event one day. I think it'll be in October, where we have at the Kislak Center on the 6th floor, we have all of our most interesting new acquisitions from the last year on display, so you can come and look at them, and we can turn the pages for you, live if you're able to join us. So keep an eye out for that too, sometime in October.
Yeah, I'll announce it. I don't think I've announced that before, but I could do that. I think that might be the last one. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's it. And then I just wanted to point out on the last page, there are also more little doodles. People were not shy about doodling on the pages. I don't even know what it looks like, a giant bug or something right here. Something fun happening. So that's it, guys. That's our Petrarch. Look at that. I'm so happy. Did you find this?
Thank you,
Nick? Were you responsible for us getting this?
Well, actually, Lynn was the one who first noticed it, and then we kind of worked together and were able to acquire it. So
I'm very happy. I love it. So thanks everybody for coming to watch us take it out of the box. And as I said, it'll be cataloged and online, digitized, hopefully by the end of the summer. And I'll be back on Thursday with Louis looking at some Hebrew fragments. So thanks, everyone. Thank you, Nick, for coming, and Julia. See everybody later.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, and thank you, Suzette. Sorry. I should have thanked you, too.